Okay, so today is November 23rd, 2021, and let's see, what have we done since last time? So the carbon fiber tape came in and I reinforced all the areas around the cockpit with it, and you can see it here on the centerboard trunk. Basically every place I hadn't done it before, I've got all that sorted out. And then I've also been working on the mast and basically the supports for the mast, how the masts are going to be set up in the boat. So that's the foremast up there, the main mast, and then back here is the mizzen mast. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing on this, and it's essentially the same thing on the other one. So down here on the bottom, see this little circle here. So that's a piece of plastic. It's a this plastic material here. I'm trying to remember what the name is. Oh, starboard is what it's called. So it's basically just a piece of slippery black, hard, long-wearing plastic. I cut a circle out of that and stuck it down there. So that's going to, so the mast itself will actually rest on that little circle. So and then to set the mast there and hold it in place, I have this tube here. So zoom back out. So I have this tube, which is essentially a piece of plastic. It's PVC plastic tubing like you would use on a sewer drain pipe. And what I've done is I've wrapped it in carbon fiber to give it a little bit more strength, and especially reinforced it down at the bottom here, this end, and then up here where it's going to be going through the deck. So this tube fits over that little round piece of plastic down there, like that, and that holds the basically locates the bottom of the tube, so it's in the right position. And then up here at the top, I've just temporarily clamped this piece of plywood in here to guide the mast into the right position here. So you probably noticed I've got the string going fore and aft on the boat. That's the mark the center line. I've got a level up there, so I've leveled the boat side to side and leveled the boat front and back. I've got these sling arrangement things that I've had set up, basically attached to the beams in the garage down under the boat. So basically by tensioning these, loosening them up, I can lift the boat, I can tilt it, I can move it up and down. So I've got it all leveled out now. So I can basically measure what's vertical and that sort of thing. So I've got this set up right now so that this tube is raked back about 3/4 of an inch. So this is roughly 2 feet from the deck area down to the foot where the bottom of the tube is, and it's raked back 3/4 of an inch, which is the amount of rake I wanted the mast on the mast. Both masts will be raked that same amount. So so instead of being straight up and down, the mast will be tilted back just a little bit. When this is all done, the mast will basically just go down inside that tube, rest on that little piece of plastic on the bottom, and it'll be held on the bottom and then up here at the deck, which will give it the strength it needs to main part of the boat and upright and withstand the pressure of the wind and that sort of thing. So there is a bit more reinforcing down the bottom. So I've got this piece here, which will fits down in here. Maybe I can put that in. Doing this roughly at the same time. So this piece fits down there like that. This other piece goes down on top of that one. So these are 3/4 inch thick pieces of plywood. So basically I've got 1.5 inches worth of plywood on the bottom, plus this little ring on the inside, which is screwed in, so that ring doesn't have a whole lot of strength to it, or this little circle doesn't have a whole lot of strength to it. But by the time these two layers are epoxied into place down there, that'll firmly hold the bottom of the mast, and that's why this part of it is reinforced. So the mast itself will go down inside the tube. The bottom of the mast will be probably a 1/4 inch thick piece of Delrin machined. So basically a solid piece that'll slide partially up inside the mast with a little Delrin boot sort of on the bottom, kind of looking like an upside down mushroom thing, and that will spin on this plate. So that'll rotate. Mast will be able to rotate inside this tube on that plate. There will be a little plastic bushing that I'll make up later that goes down inside this tube. I can't do that now because I don't know exactly what the dimension of the outside diameter of the mast is going to be precisely, so I can't make that up yet, but I'll make it up when I have the mast and basically machine it so it will slide snugly down inside this tube, loosely around the mast. That piece of the plastic for the bushings is here. It's a piece of ultra high molecular polyethylene. So it's very slippery and also pretty strong and durable. So it'll be a little bushing basically down at the bottom of this, inside the tube. The tube is inside this ring. The ring is epoxied inside the boat. At the top of the tube, the same thing. There'll be a bushing that goes down inside here with a little shoulder to keep, that'll be on the outside of the tube here to keep it from dropping down too far inside. And I'll just glue that in place inside there. And then the tube itself, the upper reinforcing on the tube, is grasped by the deck, and this will all be epoxied and with a carbon fiber fabric or Kevlar or something around it to hold that into place. So that'll be nice and snug and tight at the top and nice and strong and everything down at the bottom. So that's essentially how it goes. I've marked this with a couple of little marks with a silver Sharpie just so that I know when I've got it down all the way, so it's down over the top of the plastics in the right location. And yeah, I'll just put a little bungee cord or something just to hold that up that way, so it's in position, and that will be set. And the forward one is essentially the same thing, with the added difficulty of there's a piece that goes in here, which is part of the cockpit or the berth or whatever that you want to call it that goes in there, but that's the mast step there. So I've got the same setup there with the plastic disc, 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood machined to fit on top of that. The tube slips on top of that. The piece of the berth plywood there's a hole in that, and that drops down on top of that. And then I've got this reinforcing piece I'm adding to the deck because the deck's only 1/4 inch thick. So I've added, get this out. There. So basically put several layers of carbon fiber on this. I'll put a hole in this, and this goes in here. So the tube will go through that, and this will be covered with epoxy, and the deck layer put on top of that, more carbon fiber on top of that, with the tube coming up, and then all epoxied around there. So this is essentially what's called a mast partner. It's just giving you a little bit extra strength in there, so that the load at the top of the mast gets transferred out to the deck, and the bottom is captured down there in the forefoot of the boat. So that's it. That's a long video, but essentially, and you can see up here I've got the piece for the mast, that same tube to lock into position up here. So all set to go. Just got to start mixing up epoxy and put everything together.